Hey guys, this is CJ and Paul with FanFest News, and we are here with one of the most talented actors I've ever had the pleasure of watching in many films, Billy Zane.
You're very kind, sir.
Thank
Hello.
you.
Hey, FanFest Newsies. How are we?
I had first question is probably a subject you get asked about a lot, Titanic. You're obviously a very fashionable male, and
Are you, sir?
I try. But I do want to ask, how was it getting back into the early 1900s? How was the fashion and all that? Was it fun? Was it really hot and that kind of stuff? Like, how was it?
Well, they were really meticulous on the show. The detail was what was so impressive, and curiously, the tuxedo that I had could only have been put on if you had a dresser, which really kind of affirmed the fact that if you couldn't afford to have someone do that, you got no business wearing one of those monkey suits. So and the guy who was my dresser his father dressed the king of Denmark or something like that. Like literally, it was like he came from a line of dressers. And it also forced your head up. Like that stiff collar made you look down your nose at people. It was very interesting how the fashion itself was actually manipulated to create a sense of separation from other people and other classes, for that matter. It was pretty interesting, but also chafed a beard when it came in. End of the day, you're like, for the love of God, why?
We're right on the tail end of the Titanic. The end of Holmes and Watson was one of the highlights of that movie for me. How did that come about?
Will Ferrell there's a writer. I have to appear in one of his movies. I think every year.
Really?
No. Playing myself. I gotta play me in Will Ferrell movies or Ben Stiller films.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, you show up in a lot of movies as yourself. How is that to really not have to get into trying to be somebody else? It's just playing an exaggerated version.
I don't know. It's the hardest character to play. I can always forget my lines. And let's see. It's weird to get the love for playing yourself often more than 30 years of character work. It's kind of like, all right, that was easy for a cameo where you kind of walk on, you're like, Billy Zane, what up? You're like, hi, all right, good to see you. Pretty hard stuff. Tough to get out of bed for. But I got to say, the real excitement that I have by participating in these cons is you good people. I'm blown away by the commitment and the love and the tolerance and acceptance. Talk about diversity. We left here yesterday and it was like 2,000 people who really kind of forgot what they're wearing and didn't really, by that point it was just like going about their business. I felt like I was walking through a scene in Guardians of the Galaxy in the outdoor plaza. Like we were like on an alien planet, and there was like 2,000 people just checking their Facebook or buying a coffee or talking about, putting no reference whatsoever in their extraordinary visage. And I was like, my God, this is it's the best. I love it. I've been doing this for about a year. It is my absolute favorite thing. And it's all about the fans, and I love the fact that it's really about the community. I know you come here to maybe geek out on a few movies that we've done, but really I love the fact that it's about you and meeting everyone else and getting to know people. And I think I'm a big fan of geekdom. I'm a closet geek myself. Don't let the shiny exterior fool you. But the fact that there's just this love of an extrovert expression as opposed to a collapsed introverted one, which a lot of our tool sets promote. I love the fact that there's an expression that is generous and is outward facing, and I celebrate you and look forward to spending more time with y'all.
Speaking of geekdom, just one last thing. The Phantom.
Yes,
was
sir.
my childhood.
Was it?
Loved it. How was it for you? I mean, it looked like it was an extraordinary movie, on locations and stuff like that. I mean,
the Phantom, I think, is my favorite character I played. It was a comic I had collected years before, and loved the fact that he was, super humane, not superhuman. Demonstrated restraint and disarmed people. He never killed. You always have bing, it was like that classic. And he used roundhouses and kind of John Wayne fighting style. It wasn't all jiu-jitsu'd out or It wasn't too much kung fu,
Right.
and the fight and the way we shot it was as as close to the spirit of the comic as we could. And I'm a big fan of a well-adjusted white hat hero and not an anti-hero. I think is was brave by its nature of its differentiation. He was happy to have animal friends and live in a cave and loved his job, and he was like, this rocks, what's not to love? That's why I think he was really cool.
And my last question is going to go to one of my favorite roles of yours, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, The Collector. Love that movie, terrified me as a child. How was it working there? I mean, I know Pinkett Smith was just starting out there, and it had a terrific cast, William Sadler, yourself. Just how was it? Because it looks like mostly night shoots, I'm assuming.
No, actually, we built all those the exterior of that place was all built on a stage. It was in an old hangar in Burbank, and it was August and hot as heck, and it was a trippy time. But that whole thing was built on a stage, on an interior. Wow. And as far as a character, probably one of the most fun experiences I had. They gave me a lot of rope, and I made I ad-libbed a lot, and they seemed to encourage it ever more. I was like, are they really letting me? I kept pushing. I go, is no one stopping me on this? It's like, can we really keep going? I just kept pushing it, and they were like, no, more. I'm like, okay, let's go. It wasn't as comedic on the page, but they just kind of were, I just thought a demon who could employ anything, like, Aladdin's genie to make a point, and it will just conjure what he could, in order to seduce and get his but I love the fact that they let it just go to levels of almost musical comedy. Yeah, I had a lot of fun on that.
Awesome. Well, we do want to thank you for taking some time out.
Sure.
Is there anything that you'd like to promote that you got coming up?
Yeah. Right now, I'm in one of the episodes of The Boys, Seth Rogen's new series, which is on TV. It's hysterical. A great comment and variation on the hero landscape. It's pretty fun departure. You can also catch me in a first season and 8 episodes of something called Curfew. That Sky One produced in England and now is airing on Spectrum and Charter. It's a great series produced by the Peaky Blinders producers and directed by some of the Black Mirror directors. So it's a real fun genre, almost like a love letter to John Carpenter. It's a very 80s kind of feel, a lot of synth and cool music, needle drop music in there, and wicked gunplay and crazy. It's like if you took Death Race 2000 meets 28 Days Later, because there's like a zombie-like kind of feature, and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, because there's, mayhem and copious amounts of substance use and ridiculous outfits, and you mashed it up into a hell ride. It's Curfew, and I highly recommend tuning in. And I'm producing and going to be starring in a movie about Marlon Brando building his ecological compound in Tahiti.
The islands?
Yeah, on Tetaroa. It took place between 69 and 75. And that's awesome because it's a real loving celebration of that man's genius, not the drama that surrounded his personal life per se, but a real happy window that he was trying to, expand upon his social activism, because he was, known for, the man walked the walk for civil rights, big time, indigenous rights for the American Indians, but also, I wasn't aware of his commitment to environmental rights, and even in '69, the foresight he had towards global warming while dealing with an atoll was amazing. So he promised to build this compound with zero carbon footprint and closed loop. He was using a narrative then that was just like unheard of, but again, a testament to the man's forward-thinking prowess, and it's pretty cool. It's funny. It's called Waltzing with Brando. We're going to be shooting that in probably November.
Okay, so it seems like there's no shortage of Billy Zane coming to the big and little screen in the near future, which isn't a bad thing at all.
Thank you.
And who knows, maybe if you get some time, you might get on the next Titanic when it comes out.
The real one that they're about to launch?
Yeah.
If they'll have me. Me and boats, man.
Well, thank you so much.
A great pleasure. And thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you, friends. Stay super.